And someone who actually has some experience from TEDx events is our first live speaker. And I'm very happy to introduce Joakim Jardenberg. Joakim, he was working with the most famous media site at that time, Aftonbladet, when the internet was in its infancy. Maybe it still is quite popular, right? And he's one of the leading media profiles in Sweden today. He's the CEO of Mind Park, and he has been appointed by Internet World to be one of the 10 digital profiles that our Prime Minister here in Sweden really must listen to. And we were very, very happy that you can make it here today due to ashes and other problems. And we know that you have a brand new presentation to present on your iPad, right?
Yeah, I'm the crazy guy.
You're the crazy guy. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I think we should give him a big hand.
Thank you, thank you. So this is a first for me. It's the first time I'm going to run my presentation on the iPad, so I'm totally freaked out, so bear with me. I hope, just as well as the Prime Minister is supposed to listen to me, I hope that I could get your attention, because I'm actually here to pledge for something really important today. Something that I hope you can all help us out with. It's about caring and it's about sharing. We've heard that all over the place, but actually it started already back in 1766, when we launched in Sweden, as one of the first countries in the world, we launched what could be named as an open government version 1.0. We had what we in Sweden call tryckfrihetsförordning, Freedom of Press Act. It's now distributed all over the world. They've taken the concept, just like the meatballs, they've taken the concept of the free press and distributed that. But things have changed dramatically. So this was where it all started, and this was basically the foundation for the Freedom of Press Act. There should be no censorship. There should be a transparent government, so we could access government data. And this should lay the foundation for the free press movement. It worked pretty well. The media took the notion of being the guardians of democracy and to protect and to serve the public eye. Back in 1800, there wasn't that much newspapers around. It started at 1850 with the penny press, and the penny newspapers actually owned the media scene for quite some time. And everything was fine because they were making a healthy profit, they were doing good business, and they were doing their work protecting democracy. But the scene has changed. If we move up till today, we can see that traditional media, being it newspapers, television, radio, everything is squeezed together. And the area where the traditional media used to operate has been squeezed down to a very narrow segment. And they're in trouble. Traditional media is definitely struggling. They have an audience problem. This is an actual graph proving that one of Sweden's towns, Helsingborg, the Helsingborg Dagblad, used to reach 3/4 of every household in the region just 20 years ago. And now it's down to half. So in 20 years they have lost a big amount of their audience, and they have lost the notion of being the dominant media in the region. It's no longer very obvious that what is printed in Helsingborgs Dagblad is what is discussed and what is talked about, because the reach has leveled out. And together with the audience problem, there is a money problem, of course. Looking at the States, we can see that classifieds, you know, the segment in the back part of the newspaper where you can buy a bike or you can find some spare tires for your car, used to be accounted for about $16 billion for the traditional media industry. And those money are basically gone from newspapers like New York Times today and the local press. Instead, we have Craigslist, one of the world's largest sites and one of the most ugly sites, definitely. The problem is it looks like a normal competition where Craigslist have moved into the market and taken the money that the traditional media used to earn. But the problem is with the scale. So what used to be a $15, $16 billion industry is today a $100 million industry. So Craigslist has a revenue of about $150 million. The rest of the money is gone from that market. And that means that the traditional media has a scaling problem. In the last layoff on the editorial staff of New York Times, who has this enormous building in the middle of Manhattan, in the last layoff of editorial staff, they let go 10 times as many people as Craigslist has employed. So that's the scaling issue that traditional media is having today. And I think we have to realize that an industry that is that big as the New York Times is, or as DN, Dagens Nyheter here in Sweden, or Sydsvenskan, a large regional newspaper that made a loss of 175 million Swedish crowns last year, is definitely in a problem. And I think the problem is so great that they can't adapt fast enough. They can't turn around, they can't adapt to the new market fast enough to actually survive. So I think we are seeing the traditional media break apart. They're going to fall apart and they're going to be no more. And that brings us to the problem that I'm here to address about the journalism and about the democracy that journalism used to keep. What's going to happen with journalism when we can no longer afford having the local news rep digging into the archives of the government? I think the solution is to actually turn to the internet for help. We have seen already that the internet is a massive force. We have seen that together, wisdom of crowds, and with all the technology we have at hand, we can make a difference and we can really make things happen out there. But we need to be able to do that ourselves. So the point is that you have to be a part of this from now on. And there are two things that we have to do. First, we have to realize that we have to move the open government into a version 2.0. And by that, I mean that we have to make sure that all the public funded data, everything that we pay for with government money, has to be made really available. Not just like today, but really available. So the tagline is that if it's not online, it's not really public. So everything, every public piece of data should be online accessible. And to go with that, we have to realize the notion that knowledge is not worth anything if it's not shared. And that's where we come to play. What we have to do is to make sure that we publish ourselves. Everyone in this room is probably an expert in something. And if you can't run a blog, if you can't build your own little media house in a miniature, you can at least make sure that you update Wikipedia and that you're a part of the new movement that we have to see going. So my pledge to you is basically start caring about public data. Start caring about putting pressure on the politicians, putting pressure on the government to release our public data and make it useful. And then start sharing your own knowledge. Build upon the public data and start sharing your knowledge. And never, ever accept any censorship. We have to make sure that everything flows freely in our new connected world. Thank you very much.